ask me to explain it. There's everything and nothing to say. Some things they happen, and once they do, they never go away. They tell me that this life is eye for eye. But man, you know, I think it's all a lie. And I will not stoke the fire of this fight when I know it isn't right. So I guess I'm gonna have to try forgiveness, because you know it's all that I've got left. My boy did not deserve this, but neither did the rest. Think I'm gonna have to try forgiveness. Forgiveness. You can call me a coward, call me anything you choose. Once you could have hurt me, now I've got nothing left to lose. Go on, spite me, 'cause I will not curse his name. And tell me, though I'm broken, I am to blame. Well, go on, but I won't participate in spreading all this hate. So I guess I'm gonna have to try forgiveness, 'cause you know it's all that I've got left. My boy did not deserve this, neither did the rest. I think I'm gonna have to try forgiveness. Forgiveness. Well, they shot at me for speaking out against this tired war. How can you lose one life and not demand one more? But what good will it do us in the end? There's nothing that could justify revenge. And I stand now here before you, living out the hardest test. And I still say the only answer is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Well, you know we've got to try forgiveness, because you know it's all that we've got left. Our boys and girls are watching, and they put us to the test. Come, let us show them forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Good morning, friends, and welcome on this Sunday morning as we mark the season of Teshuvah, or return, at the online service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. My name is June Cerveny, and I am happy to be your worship associate this morning, co-leading the service with our minister, the Reverend Margie Allen. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Riddle, and our children and youth worship and learning time is each Sunday from 9:45 to 10:15. I'd like to offer a special welcome to anyone who is new to our fellowship, and I hope that you find among us inspiration and nourishment for your spirit. Unitarian Universalism, as a living tradition, has two commitments: freedom of belief and an orientation toward inclusion, interdependence, and justice. You can find additional information about the 7 principles we strive to live by on our webpage at UUFSB.org. At the conclusion of our morning service, we will have a brief meet and greet coffee hour. It does take a few moments to get everyone admitted, so please be patient while our wonderful tech team makes us visible and audible to each other. Our supplemental annual meeting will take place at 11:45 today, so small group chat will return next week. You will need to leave this meeting and enter the supplemental annual meeting using the link on our webpage or in the special news feed that was sent out yesterday. This meeting includes the presentation of this year's Distinguished Service Award, adoption of our budget for 2021, and voting for the elective positions on the fellowship boards and committees. It's important, so please come.
Let us enter into the spirit of worship with the sounding of our morning bell.
The chalice that I am lighting this morning is a kintsugi bowl in the Japanese tradition of repair. When we look at it, we can see both the ways in which the bowl was broken and the gold line where it has been mended. It's not hidden, but instead made more beautiful by the work of repair. By the light we kindle in this chalice, may we return to wholeness within ourselves, and may we return to one another, both seeking and offering reconciliation.
And now it's September, and the garden diminishes. Cucumber leaves rumpled and rusty, zucchini felled by borers, tomatoes sparse on the vines. But out in the perennial beds, there's one last blast of power, of colors, ignitions of goldenrod, flamboyant asters, spiraling mums, all those flashy spikes waving in the wind, conducting summer's final notes. The ornamental grasses have gone to seed, haloed in the last light. Nights grow chilly, but the days are still warm. I wear the sun like a shawl on my neck and arms. Hundreds of blackbirds ribbon in, settle in the trees, so many black leaves. Then just as suddenly, they're gone. This is autumn's great departure gate, and everyone, boarding passes in hand, waits patiently in a long, long line. It's a poem by Barbara Crooker, and now it's September. For many of us, this time of year is traditionally a time of arrivals and departures, a time of new beginnings, new jobs, new school year, new freedom as a young adult, and for us and others, the beginning of a new congregational year. Our service this morning honors the Jewish roots of Unitarian Universalism and also the Jewish roots of many in this congregation, including me. The Jewish high holy days, the days of awe, began a week ago Friday with Rosh Hashanah and the celebration of the Jewish New Year, and will close tomorrow at sunset at the end of the 24 hours of Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish liturgical year, the Day of Atonement. There really couldn't be a better spiritual prescription for us right now than A, the gift of a brand new year, unsullied and open for change, and B, a ritual of sober considerations of the ways we failed ourselves, each other, our nation, and our earth in the year we are now gratefully exiting. As nature girds herself for the rigors of winter, we ask of ourselves and one another the wisdom, the courage, and the discipline to turn toward what is broken and address ourselves, body and soul, to the rigorous art of mending.
The movement toward mending begins with turning back to face the places in which we have contributed to fracture, blockage, and pain in our relationships with other beings and the earth. Please join me in a responsive reading. You will see it momentarily. I will read the regular print, and Margie will join you in reading out loud the italicized lines. Now is the time for turning.
The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red and orange.
The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south.
The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter.
For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively.
But for us, turning does not come so easily.
It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits.
It means admitting that we've been wrong, and this is never easy.
It means losing face. It means starting all over again, and this is always painful.
It means saying, I am sorry.
It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are hard to do.
But unless we turn, we will be trapped in yesterday's ways.
God, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love.
From pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment.
From carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith.
Turn us around, O God, and bring us back towards you.
Turn us toward each other, for in isolation there is no life.
Join with me now for our time of reflection, meditation, prayer. A few words to travel with into our shared silence, and then a song, the first two verses of our hymn, Break Not the Circle. The work of maintaining healthy relationships is not easy, especially in stressful times like these, for instance. Jewish tradition, unlike ours, makes plenty of room for noticing and addressing the hurt we can deliver to each other. At the head of the year, Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish world makes atonement. First in human relationships gone awry, and then with God. As we prepare to enter into our time of shared silence, you might want to take this opportunity to call to mind a time when something someone did hurt you and the wound still festers, drawing your attention to the memory of that incident more than you would like. Something that you hear this morning may help you take some first steps toward healing. And as a companion for your silent reflection, in a glance or in a longer communion during the silence, I offer a photo I took of my favorite neighborhood maple tree in her pretty orange dress. The caption reads, "The trees are about to show you just how beautiful letting go can be." One of the gifts of the virtual setting for worship that this weird pandemic situation brings is the opportunity for faraway musicians to come and play and sing for us. So many thanks to Pat Killian. Some of you recognize him, a long-time member who moved to California a few years ago. He brought us our prelude, Peter Katz's song, Forgiveness. Pat sang the story of a grieving father who rejected hate and the idea of revenge in the aftermath of his son's murder. So I guess I'm going to have to try forgiveness, because, man, you know, that's all that I've got left. My boy did not deserve this, but neither do the rest. I guess I'm going to have to try forgiveness. In 2004, an American soldier named Nicholas Berg was captured and beheaded by Al-Qaeda in Iraq. In a subsequent CNN interview, Michael Berg, Nick's father, made it clear that he was not interested in the so-called justice of a retaliative revenge strike. 2 years later, the Al-Qaeda leader who ordered the beheading was killed by US forces. And when asked again by CNN for his reaction, Michael Berg reiterated his position. My reaction is that I'm sorry whenever any human being dies. Zarqawi was a family who are reacting just as my family reacted when Nick was killed. When the interviewer expressed surprise, Mr. Berg said, "How can a human being be glad that another is dead?" This is the story that inspired the song Pat sang for us. Forgiveness isn't an easy one and done. It's a process. It's a process that unfolds at the pace of an individual's ability to let go of the desperate longing for what happened in the past to have happened differently. It's a process that asks the wounded person to look deeply enough into the other person to see aspects of themselves. Not condoning the darkness there, just accepting it. Not assuming that light does not shine in both. It asks Unitarian Universalists like me and you to found their forgiveness on the love that is the heart of Universalism and in the eternal truth of our first and seventh principles. Every person has worth and dignity, and all of us are connected and dependent on each other and on the integrity of the web of relationships that connects us. Marianne Williamson, surely a better prophet than president, reminds us the choice to follow love through to its completion is the choice to seek completion within ourselves. The point at which we shut down on others is the point at which we shut down on life. We heal as we heal others, and we heal others by extending our perceptions past their weaknesses. Until we've seen someone's darkness, we don't really know who that person is. Until we've forgiven somebody's darkness, we don't really know what love is. Forgiving others is the only way to forgive ourselves, and forgiveness is our greatest need. These are the two most compelling reasons to choose to work towards forgiveness. The story of how you were hurt by someone at some point in the past anchors you in that past. This is the first reason. You face the past, which nothing you can do will change, while the future over which you may have great influence unfolds outside the scope of your attention. It's important to understand the past, yes, because its lessons have the power to shape the future, but what really matters for us, for our world and for our children, lies ahead of us in each unfolding minute and hour and day, and can still be shaped for good, no matter what happened in the past. The second reason is really a corollary to the first. A human being really has only so much energy for living life. allowing a story to pull you into the past again and again, to rehearse the details, to relive the feelings, to entertain all the what ifs and the fantasies of revenge, traps and squanders a portion of your energy right there, and to no good end at all. It wears you down. It makes you vulnerable to emotional and physical illness. I don't know about you, but I cannot afford that loss. I need all the energy for life, for the life I have now, and for the future I might dream into being. So there are very good reasons to forgive, and it is a difficult project. To decide to forgive is quite a radical decision. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, formerly the head rabbi of Britain, says that forgiveness is the capacity of a human being to do the unexpected. The drive to forgive, he says, is connected to human freedom. We have the capacity to stand outside of our victimhood and claim our agency. We always have the choice to forgive or not. Sometimes forgiveness just isn't possible, and that's okay. There is no moral imperative connected to forgiveness. Really, at its heart, forgiveness is a project of self-care. No one can compel you to forgive. No one can find fault with you if you do not or cannot. And yet, forgiveness frees you and maybe the person who hurt you, should you choose to include them in your process, which is optional. There are some things that forgiveness is not. It is not about the other person, it's about you. Therefore, forgiveness is not about excusing the person, surrendering to the person, or forgetting what happened. It's not about whether or not the person deserves forgiveness. Forgiving someone does not mean that justice has been done. It means that you are not the one meting out that justice. And finally, forgiving does not entail putting yourself at risk. Forgiveness is an inside job. You can accomplish it all on your own, though you might need support from friends or from a therapist or a minister. Reconciliation is the second step that does require dialogue and negotiation, even if the two parties have no intention of maintaining an ongoing relationship. So say you decide you'd like to take steps toward forgiving someone. Where do you start? Well, for one thing, you start small. Practice with some little hurts. The first step is clearly understanding the harm you incurred. So write the story down. Reflect on how what the other person did affected you physically and mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Reflect on what the other person, what impact that hurt had on your life, your other relationships, your ability to trust, your available energy. Think about your reaction to the incident and what root wounds from your family of origin it might have hooked and torn. Think about similar patterns, excuse me. Think about similar patterns of harm and pain that you've experienced. And notice the feelings that come up as you write all of this. And in the meantime, be aware of any sense of compassion for yourself that arises in your heart. And then, second step, think about the person who caused you harm in a similar way. How do you think they came to the decision to act as they did? How were they influenced by their own circumstances growing up, by their own wounds and challenges that came to them over the course of their life, by their situation at the time of the incident? And again, notice the feelings that come up for you as you write. and be aware also of any sense of compassion that may come up for you about the person who hurt you. So as you can see, empathy is the key to the process of forgiveness. And working on empathy for yourself in the situation in which you were hurt may also point you to places where you need to forgive yourself for the things you felt or did not handle well. Make note of those. Strong feelings are scary. One reason we can stay stuck in the past is the fear of probing too deeply into the emotions that swirl in the story of our hurt and being flooded by them. But there's no way around them. Entering your strong feelings and the feelings you imagine drove the other person to do what they did is the key to empathetic connection. My Linda, the Buddhist UU minister, tells a story Buddhists tell of two people, a teacher and a student, walking across a wide lawn to enter a large house, when suddenly the big, loud, vicious dog of the house breaks loose from its chain and runs full speed toward the visitors. The student is like frozen in place, clueless what to do. The teacher, however, begins barking furiously and running towards the dog. The dog looks at the teacher, turns, and wanders off. The thing that scares you is asking for your attention. Healing lies in that direction, and you can choose to go there or not. Nick Berg's father, Michael, chose forgiveness because the alternative in the atmosphere of post-9/11 America was polluted with a thick smog of revenge. No one could believe that he was able to so quickly forgive the men who captured and killed his son. And they were right, they were right to wonder, because forgiveness is a process and it's hard. It's taken Michael years to understand the damage his rage and grief did to him and to his family as he channeled it, a displaced, unleashed, and powerful force into their post-Nick world. And he's talked about it in interviews since then. He's determined, though, and these many years later, incrementally, he's getting there. Forgiveness is the act of admitting that we are like other people, someone once said. And it follows to say, forgiveness is an act of mercy one human can offer another because we know how it is, this being human. And love is the ground of mercy. Shortly, you're going to hear cellist Phun Phan and pianist Hsin-Chiao Liao play the Max Bruch setting of the Kol Nidrei, the ancient melody that will call the Jewish people at this evening's first service of Yom Kippur back to their God, back to the people to whom they are connected in community, and back to their own deepest selves, back to their sacred calling in life. Phuk and Hsin-Chiao have shared their gifts often enough with us that they have truly become part of our UUFSB extended family. They are a married couple, but have been living separately with their families since February because of the pandemic. Phuk in Vietnam and Hsin-Chiao in Taiwan. They recorded their parts separately, and Phuk kindly did the editing for us. With respect and gratitude to Central Synagogue, New York City, I share a portion of the unattributed words of introduction to the Kol Nidrei included in their beautiful 2020 High Holy Days prayer book. These words recall for me our tribute last Sunday to our own congregational ancestors. Like no other prayer, Kol Nidrei compels our presence, and not just us alone, but the memorized outline too of younger years. The gentle feel of those who tucked us in, who blessed our days, consoled our nights, and came as we do on this eve with memories of their own. We tonight are memories in the making, warming seats for others who will remember us in some Kol Nidrei they shall hear when we are gone. Present too among us are memories more recent of what we did or said or were or weren't since last year at this time, of what we learned or lost, of kisses that we gave or got, the laugh that lovers recognize. The days of empty wandering and wondering where God was, or knowing with compelling certainty that God was with us, even in despair. Kol Nidrei harbors memory of all of this. Its melody persists, insists, commands, and summons our acknowledgement of time. What we recall of others past, and what we vow to leave behind for others still to come, who will remember us.
It is our spiritual practice to encourage ourselves in generosity by taking a collection that will be shared between our fellowship and an agency doing the work of social justice. Our Share the Plate recipient in the month of September is the Poor People's Campaign. The Poor People's Campaign builds on the organizing work of Martin Luther King Jr. It is a coalition of people fighting against inequality on all levels and seeking to bring all oppressed people in our country together in order to speak truth to power and move toward a truly just society. During this time when we cannot be together to take a collection in person, please continue to send in your much needed pledge payments and contributions to social justice. All of them are received with gratitude. Details on how to make a contribution and how to indicate how you want the funds to be used are in the special news feed or on the webpage.
Oh, wow. That was so beautiful. Just taking a minute to take it in. Our closing words this morning come to us from Jewish poet and scholar Marcia Falk, a reminder about everything and nothing. After the poem, come back in your mind to that new year, that blank slate, that territory of active hope and repair that we talked about at the beginning, as we join in singing hymn number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive. But for now, here's Marcia Falk's poem, Nothing. Nothing. You began as nothing and you will end as nothing. And in between, everything and nothing. In between joy and sorrow, beauty and decay, everything is yours to partake of, yours to bear, yours to see, to know, to give birth to, and to let go. None of it is yours to have. Not even you is yours to have. You belong to a wholeness so great you cannot even conceive of it. No, it is not a belonging. Nothing owns you. You're simply part of it. You came out of it and you will return to it. You do not ever leave it. You are a part of it forever. And this is your moment to be alive.
May the love that overcomes all differences, that heals all wounds, that puts to flight all fears, that reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always. Amen.